Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be discussing my March 2021 State of the Collection. On the left we have my modified Pagani Design PD1661 Explorer. On the right we have my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 reference 124300. So firstly let's look at the modified Pagani Design. As you'll know from my previous video, I'm very pleased with this piece. I've completed the modifications with the mil sub sword hands, and I came to a realisation whilst wearing this watch, it gives outstanding feel-good factor and also, more importantly, comfort level. So I really like the case shape, and then I began to realise that this was the case shape that I've been looking for. So I decided to purchase my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 with a blue sunburst dial. So since my last state of the collection, I have now sold my Vostok Amphibia 090659. I have also sold my Rolex Submariner Date 116610LN, and I also sold my modified Pagani Design PD1661. And I was thoroughly enjoying wearing this piece as a replacement to those three watches on a daily basis. But I really decided that I wanted to buy a Rolex watch with the same case shape but the blue sunburst style, which I enjoyed in my Vostok Amphibia 090659. So I've come to the conclusion that yes, this is an incredibly satisfying piece. I love the case shape and I also love the comfort level, but really what I was looking for was a higher quality version of it, which I found in the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, this is an outstanding watch, but I've actually decided today to reduce my collection further from 2 pieces down to 1. And that may come as a surprise to you because this is an incredibly satisfying piece, but I have decided to list it on eBay for sale because I've decided that now I have my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, this really is now surplus to my requirements. 48mm lug-to-lug measurement gives a sublime comfort level, as does the 20mm lug width, which perfectly balances the 40mm head of the piece. So I really like the aesthetic of the mil sub sword hands, and I think they complement the Pagani Design PD1661 Explorer dial layout. So very satisfying piece, and I think that this is a very comfortable piece to wear, and it does give very good satisfaction. But really, with a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, I'm just not going to need it. I think that this watch was a good watch to come to that realization, but then one gets to a point where less is more, and I think that one watch really is what I've been looking for, the perfect piece. So I'll talk you through my Oyster Perpetual 41. Now, this watch arrived today from Holland. I decided to purchase it from Kramer Watches, and I'll explain why I purchased it from Kramer Watches rather than a Rolex authorised dealer. Currently in Ireland, the Rolex authorised dealers are closed during lockdown. Now, I had put my name down on waiting lists at 2 Rolex authorised dealers for this piece, the 124300 with a blue sunburst dial. But however, I don't know when the lockdown's going to end, nor do I know how long I'm going to be waiting on a waiting list. So I simply decided to bypass that waiting list system, and I went to Kramer Watches in Holland, and they had one in stock, and they shipped it to me today via UPS. And firstly, I want to personally thank Kramer Watches for their outstanding customer service. I highly recommend them if you're looking for a piece like this. Now, with regards to this 124300, I looked at all the different dial colour options, and this bright blue dial, as it's known, which is the blue sunburst dial version, is my personal favourite. I absolutely love the way that the sunburst blue dial changes colour in the light. It's a darker navy colour to the blue rather than my Vostok Amphibia 090659, which had a more electric blue sunburst dial colour. And I actually prefer the deeper tone of the navy blue. I think that it's just very pleasing to look at when it changes colour in the light. Now, there are 2 negatives to this piece which may surprise you. Unlike Rolex fanboys, as you know, I try to review watches objectively, and I like to talk about the negatives as well as the positives of the piece to give an honest, balanced and impartial view rather than heavily biased. So, there are 2 negatives which I'll explain. The first negative I'll show you. This has the full 12 links that the watch comes with from Rolex, and as you can see, it does fit my 8-inch wrist. However, it is too tight. Now, I've used the EasyLink extension on maximum extension, which extends the Oyster bracelet by another 5mm, but it's still too tight. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I like to size my bracelets correctly, and that means I should be able to slide an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times, and that therefore allows for wrist expansion in warmer weather or when one is active, such as playing sports. So as you can see, it does fit my 8-inch wrist when on maximum extension using the 5mm EasyLink extension. But however, too tight for comfort, there's no expansion room. So I would like to see this looser fit on my wrist, and that means I'm going to have to add an additional 2 links. So I've now ordered an additional 2 links from a Rolex authorised dealer, and they don't have them in stock, so they're going to be shipped from Rolex in Switzerland, and then they will send them to me in due course. So the fit of the case is absolute perfection. I absolutely love the low profile fit. The 21mm lug width perfectly balances the 41mm case, and really I think they've got the taper of the Oyster bracelet done to absolute perfection. This is the perfect watch. So really the main negative is the fact that it doesn't fit my 8-inch wrist with the full 12 links. The correct orientation of the links should be 5 links on the 6 o'clock side, and on the 12 o'clock side there should be 7 links, and that therefore positions the clasp dead center of the wrist. But however, I'm going to add an additional 1 link on this side and 1 link on this side, which will retain the symmetry of the clasp in the center of the wrist, but just allow for an index finger of thickness underneath the clasp to allow for more wrist expansion. So what is the other negative to the piece? Well, I'll give you a background story to my collecting, and then you will understand the context. I bought my first Rolex Submariner 140/60M 23 years ago when I was 21 years old, and I made a decision when I was 19 years old and a university student that I wanted to buy a Rolex Submariner. The problem was that as a university student I didn't have the money needed to buy the watch. So it took me 2 years of saving up from 19 years old to 21 to have the £2,500 needed to purchase a pre-owned Submariner no date, the 140/60M. And really that was the day that sparked my interest in watch collecting. I can describe it as the highest of highs. When I put that watch on for the first time when I was 21, I got the most incredible dopamine rush, and really that was the precise moment in my life that sparked my interest in watch collecting. And over the years I've owned several Rolex watches, and as you know, several Rolex Submariner dates, but they never gave me that dopamine rush. They never gave me that incredible highest of high feeling. But I can say that this 41 has given me that same incredible dopamine rush. When it arrived by UPS courier this morning, I felt that incredible dopamine rush, the highest of highs. And I came to realization that this was the perfect watch for me. This was the watch that I was seeking all throughout those 23 years of watch collecting. And really, it's something that collectors always talk about, the one and done watch. For me personally, this is the one and done watch. It perfectly meets all my needs in a watch. And I've also come to another conclusion with regards to watch collecting over the last 23 years. I believe that less is more. I've gone through various phases of having large collections and scaling down from 12 pieces to 9 to 6 to 3. And as you'll know, most recently I've reduced my collection from 3 pieces to 2, and I'm now going to reduce that further from these 2 pieces down to this one in hand. And why do I believe that less is more? Well, I have a belief that when a watch collector accumulates a large collection of say 12 pieces or more, what they're actually doing is they are increasing their anxiety, and they are actually dividing rather than multiplying their pleasure and feel-good factor from each of those pieces. And I believe that less is more with regards to collecting. If you have 3 pieces or 1 piece, you're actually multiplying your feel-good factor and your pleasure from those pieces or piece rather than dividing it by having several pieces. The problem with owning a large collection is you increase your anxiety. You worry about servicing the pieces, you worry about damaging the pieces, you worry about the investment values of those pieces, having to keep them in good condition because they're appreciating in value with time exponentially. And really, when one has less watches to worry about and less watches to think about, the pleasure is magnified, the anxiety decreases, and it's something that a lot of collectors don't realise. The more watches they're buying, they're actually just adding to their anxiety about their collection rather than enhancing the pleasure of having fewer pieces. So the truth is, I actually get more pleasure and more feel-good factor just from this one piece, which is perfect, compared to having a larger collection. So what I've decided to do is I'm selling this piece on eBay, and I'm simply going to have one watch and wear this Oyster Perpetual 41 on a daily basis. And really it is the one and done watch. I think that as collectors we're all on a journey seeking that perfect one and done watch, and we keep buying watches and flipping them and replacing them with alternatives, constantly looking for the perfect watch. And what's actually happening is subconsciously we are refining our needs. We're deciding which are the key elements that are important to ourselves in a watch, which are the things that we have to have. And I really went on that journey with this piece that I modified to my own personal taste. I realised that the case, which really is like a Rolex Explorer or Oyster Perpetual case shape, this gave me more comfort than the super case of my Submariner date. And as I've discussed, I found myself subconsciously wanting to wear this watch more than my Submariner date, which is ironic because this is a €65 piece compared to my Submariner date, which is a €10,000 piece. So really, the more expensive piece, you would expect it to give more feel-good factor, more comfort, more pleasure. But ironically, this €65 piece gave me more comfort and feel-good factor. So I decided I would sell my Submariner date and I would keep this piece because it was more satisfying overall. The other realisation I came to with regards to key elements was that the blue sunburst dial of my Amphibia 090659 was preferable to the matte black dial of my Submariner date. So I decided the Oyster Perpetual K-shape with a blue sunburst dial would be the perfect watch. And what we have on the right here in this Oyster Perpetual 41 with the bright blue dial, that blue sunburst dial, is the perfect watch. It is all of those elements distilled into one piece. And this is the one and done watch. And I'm absolutely delighted that after 23 years of that journey of searching for the perfect one and done watch, I have finally found it. And I was absolutely certain that this was the piece because when I felt that incredible dopamine rush again that first sparked my interest at 21, when I felt that again at 44 today, I thought this is it. This is the end piece of my watch collecting. The Submariner 14060M was the start piece and this is the end piece, so the journey is now completed. And really, I hope this is a conclusion that you're going to come to yourself with regards to your watch collecting. You're going to go through the same journey and process of exploring different pieces, flipping them, replacing them, refining your collection, reducing it from 12 pieces to 9 to 6 to 3 and finally to one piece as I'm doing myself. Because really, it is the highest of highs. It is the ultimate pleasure of having that one and done piece. So I'm absolutely delighted with this piece despite its negatives of the bracelet being too tight, and also it also has killed off my interest in other watches because I'm simply not interested in owning anything else. This is the only watch I want to wear. So I hope you've liked my discussion of my March 2021 State of the Collection. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.